Welcome to the Geekies, the fellow geeks. Happy New Year, and let's pop a beverage of your choice. Because today, on 123, 123, or 12/31/23, I'm going to be going over some of my choices for best comics of the year and worst comics of the year. So let's start with the worst of the year. Just to get that out of the way. First off, and these aren't in any particular order, so, wasn't going to be sitting there trying to, trawl through a bunch of shit to try and figure out which is the stinkiest pile or not. And these aren't all the bad ones. These are just ones that came to mind and ones that I've read. Alright, first off, we have DC versus Vampires. No. They have already got like a bunch of vampire characters in this story. I mean, in the DC universe. And somehow they decided to just start changing some of the heroes into it. And then have them pit against each other for this. It didn't make any sense. It was badly done, badly drawn. I mean, and how do you get Superman turned into a vampire? Seriously, the guy, even if a vampire could bite through him and get into his, switch blood with him and all that, his powers come from solar energy. But yeah, this is just another bad, attempt at an event series, just to have an event one to try and get people to read it, and I didn't like it. The second thing that was just serious, that was absolutely horrible, was Night Terrors, which came after the Lazarus Planet. Okay, so both these together, I'm kind of cheating and putting both of these together. Alright, Lazarus Planet is another attempt by DC to reboot the DC Universe after their other failed attempts at rebooting the DC Universe, which was the heavy metal thing. That wasn't going over well, so they decided to go with the Lazarus Planet to change everybody up again. And then, when that didn't go over well, that was horrible, then they decided to do Night Terrors. DC is actually doing I don't know what they're doing, but they are just doing events to do events. And so, they realize that their writing and their stories are so horrible. Their stuff is so horrible, the fans are just going, what the hell are you doing? And they're leaving in droves, so they're like, oh, let's have another event and change it again. So we're gonna restart it again, in hopes to get people to come back, and it's not working. So it's just things are just getting worse and worse and worse, and it's because of stuff like Lazarus Planet and Night Terrors. Okay, and then the next series, worst series of the year, and this pains me to no end to do this. Chip Zdarsky's Batman, and yes, this is just the issue that I found right here. I know it doesn't have Batman on it, but Chip Zdarsky is this guy is supposed to be a fantastic writer. He does everything so well, but then he does Batman where it's just, and I know they'd already kind of fucked his character up before he got to it with the King run and all this other stuff, but he seems to be doubling down, just making it worse. And then between the stuff that he had done coming up to Night Terrors and then what they were doing after Night Terrors, I just had to drop it. So he's no money. You've got mansion is gone. He was in a condo for a little bit. Now he's not even in that. He's got, then they had what is referred to as the Gotham War, which is also another really horrible series, where after Night Terrors, he was taking a 6 or 7 week nap because he was so tired from Night Terrors. That's not a nap, people. That's a coma. If anyone is in asleep for 6-7 weeks, that's not sleeping, folks. And then so when he wakes up, and he had lost his hand, so he's got what it was. They're just basically neutering him and making him unrecognizable. In a thing that he had, this happened, in the events right before, what do you call it, Night Terrors. You had the whole, Abin's Razor, whatever thing, and then he had to go up against the robot form of his thing, and jumping from the Justice League space station with no protection, and then landing on his feet on Earth. I mean, come on, that's horrible. But then you spend 6 weeks sleeping instead of in a coma to find out that Catwoman has taken over Gotham. Gee, haven't had someone take over Gotham in the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 storylines, and reduced crime in Gotham by 75%. How? By taking all the henchmen and getting them together. So basically she unionized them without unionizing them, and says, okay, obviously you guys are turned to crime because you don't have any money. And these guys, these evil, major criminals are using you to make money and not paying you well, so we're going to unionize you. I'm going to teach you how to become a cat burglar. And so you can go from, committing this type of crime, committing this type of crime, and only robbing from the rich. And then you're going to take some of that money that you get pay me and then also give a cut to the poor. Now, I don't see how that would reduce crime by 75%. And, anyway, it's just horribly done, horribly thought out, and it's just, I had to stop because it was just, the story was awful, art was awful, and just, it's, no. No, 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 no. So that's just some of the bad. Oh, and then Power Girl, this new Power Girl series. I forgot to grab one of those. I read the first 3 issues of that, and that was just no, not. That was just bad. And in case you're wondering, what I think of the new Wonder Woman series, I haven't read it, so I can't sit there and say what I think. I've heard about it, but like I said, I haven't read it, so I'm not going to sit there and critique it because I haven't read it. But let's get to some of the books that I think are the best of the year. And there is one that I thought was the best of the year, and I will get to that. But the rest of them are in no particular order. And I usually, when I do these things, I try and break it down between ongoing series and miniseries. But the thing is, a lot of the stuff that I read this year that was really good are from independent stuff, and on a lot of what those guys do is they'll do one storyline, which will be 4 to 6 issues, finish that storyline, and then start over again with another storyline, with another storyline, and so it's kind of a ongoing, but not an ongoing. So it'd make it a miniseries. So I'm just going to include some of my favorites for this year. So one of them, and I know I just spoke out against this writer a little bit ago, but this is a good series. Newburn by Image Comics, written by Chip Zdarsky. Now, I actually happen to like this series, and it's well written. Maybe it's because he's doing it; he doesn't have to worry about editorial interference from above or predetermined stuff that had happened beforehand or anything, because he started this from number 1. I don't know, but this is a series where the central character, which is him right there, Newburn, he used to be a cop. And he was kind of dirty. But now he's not. And what his job now is, he works for all the crime families of the city. He doesn't owe his allegiance to one particular one or any of them. He is a neutral party who, so if there is some 2 crime family, there's more than 2, but if there's these 2 crime families that have kind of an issue and they don't want to go to war or something like that, or they're, like they suspect that one thing did one to them, they go to Newburn, and he's supposed to investigate, look into it. He has access to everybody. They can't touch him. They can't do anything to him. And he looks into it, and whatever his determination is, stands. And So he's doing this. He has at the beginning of the series. He gets a new assistant or a woman who is helping him out. He's teaching her the rope for when he's going to retire, and things start to go badly for them. Okay. Then we have this is an actual miniseries, which I thought was a very well done. Predator versus Wolverine. I usually don't get things like that. You have Predator versus Batman, Predator versus Superman, Aliens versus Batman, Aliens versus Superman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus, so and so. Though I've never really been into that. But I had heard about this when it first came out, and I picked the first one up just out of curiosity. And I have to tell you, Benjamin Percy did a really good job in this. It's just basically, you find out that Wolverine has been fighting predators off and on for years. And he just hasn't remembered it because his memory wipe and all that. And then this one here, the main one is what turns out to be supposedly the last fight between them, and goes back and forth between how he met him for the first time and all that stuff. Very well written story. Okay. And then we have this story. It's Bloodstained Teeth, written by Christian Ward. It was, I don't know if it was meant to be a miniseries or, but it went to, I think it was more than 12 issues. What you have is central character, this guy right here, who is a vampire. And in this universe, there are two different types of vampires. There's the born ones, and then what are referred to as SIPs, S-I-P-S, who were changed. Okay, think along the lines of the Blade movie, where there's the true born ones, and then Deacon Frost is the one who was changed. Okay, and same thing with this one. They look down on the changed vampires. So, but you're not supposed to change. You're not supposed to change people into vampires. But this character, his name was Atticus. Not only was he changing people into vampires, he was doing it for monetary gain. Okay, so you'd get this guy would come to him and say, "I want to be, I want to be changed to a vampire," and so he'd charge him all this money, and then like this guy, he was become a vampire, and he was going to use it to become an MMA fighter, and so he'd get the money for the changing stuff, and then he'd take a cut of this guy's winnings for that. There's another person he did, a woman he changed, and she became this really successful YouTube influencer. And then the council, I think that's what they called them, found out about it, and they're like, no. Not only no, but fuck no. You're going to put a stop to this shit, and then you have a certain amount of time to go and get rid of all the people you changed, or we're going to fuck you up. And that's what the story is about. Really good story with a kind of a psychedelic art style by Patrick Reynolds. Okay. And then this year we had the third installment of Count Crawley Amateur Midnight Monster Hunter. Published by Dark Horse and written by, oh, look at his name right there. David Malchain. You know who he is. He's an actor, and he's really kind of this weird, nerdy type of guy. But really great concept on this one. You have the central character, and I can't remember her name. She is a reporter who very big drinking problem, and it's not like the one they had in Airplane where a drinking problem couldn't get it into his mouth. She had a serious alcohol problem, Jim Beam, and she got sent out to a Ren Fair to do a report on this guy who sold this this mead that was really popular. Turns out that she found out that it was boxed. You know, he didn't make it. And so she said something on it. She was all hammered on air, said something to her about it. You know, made a big deal out of it, hammered on air, and got fired. Her brother owns the local station and says, okay, sis, I know you screwed up. I'm going to give you one more chance. Our horror host has disappeared. And you can take over the job of this horror host, or you're fucked out of a job. And she takes it, only to find out the horror host was an actual monster hunter. And you know, vampires, werewolves, and all that stuff are real. And then she has to deal with that. Really good series. Okay, and then another miniseries that happened is Boom Studios by, what is her? I can't remember her first name. Starrer, but it's Sirens of the City. This young character, young girl who winds up getting knocked up by her boyfriend, who then leaves her. So she goes to find a way to deal with it, but then doesn't go through with it. Turns out that she is a siren and gets pulled into this big war among sirens and other, you know, like vampires and stuff like that in the city. And that her trial is going to be has something to do with that. But one thing I liked about it, it was, you know, different type of story. But if you look at the art in here, it is really an interesting type of art. All kind of black and white with spots of color where they're trying to emphasize things. And it's just really well done. And what is her first name? Joanne Starr. She did a book, Welcome to Fire and Ice, Welcome to Smallville, which I haven't read, but I don't want to say what I thought about, what I heard about that, because didn't read it, so I can't. Okay, now these are some of the best ongoings of the year, and I really, really am enjoying them. Now this one is surprising because where is it? Is that the right one? I am not a huge fan. I'm not a fan of this character, generally. But I am enjoying this run. The dawn of the DC run. And okay, so this is not an issue that I enjoyed, but I am enjoying the run. It is the new Green Lantern with Hal Jordan. Did not like they had to stop the series for a second and do a Night Terror thing to deal with that. But generally, this is a really good story. You have Hal Jordan being stuck on Earth because of all the events going on with Guardians are no longer in charge of the universe. They've got this kind of galactic consortium and all that. So he's stuck on Earth with no lantern ring, but he does have a ring of his own, all that. And it's really good series so far. Okay, then Moon Knight. I've been reading him since the 80s. This series is one of the better ones. I mean, the original series, from back in the 80s where it was just, the four characters, Spectre, Lockley, Grant, Moon Knight, and you had Merlin, Frenchie, and all that. Anyway, a lot better, but I still am enjoying this series. It's really, really good. But of course, I'll have to wait to see what happens now that they've kind of screwed it up. Okay, then we have one more. The new Incredible Hulk. You have this series where he is it's kind of a monster series. You've got him running around with a young girl who wants to become like the Hulk. Okay, and then the best book of the year. This was the best book of the year. Wraith of God Blood Hunters by Aaron Lopresti. It is a crowd-funded book, and it's got 4 different stories in it, and it was just incredible. You can go onto his site and get them. This is the best book of the year. By far. Okay, and then I just have a couple of honorable mentions that I thought were incredible. Both the new Ed Brubaker books. One was Night Fever, and then the latest one, Where the Body Was. Those are worth getting because they're Ed Brubaker. But anyway, that is my stuff for this year. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your best and worst. Oh, one more worst one was the Starship Hulk from beginning of the year. That was horrible. But okay, let me know what some of your best and worst of this year was for 2023. Like, subscribe, most of all, enjoy comics, and happy 2024.